All right, Malik, thank you for sparing me time. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning. What your early life, your like before activism, when talk to me about your young childhood. What was that like? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was raised in a community that that used to be a maroon community. All right, it was called Freetown. My grandfather was a lieutenant in the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association.
Sure.
He, some of the things that I know of him is that even after they deported Marcus Garvey, and they deported him from right here, from Algiers. When he was deported, this is where he was deported from. And they stood on a levee all the way down to the at the end of the Mississippi River, waving him goodbye. And then when he came back, he couldn't come back to America, but he went to Canada. They had a caravan to leave from here, to go all the way to Canada there to see the Honorable Marcus Garvey. So I came up in a family with a rich history and of people that was willing to do for themselves. The whole thing that our basketball team now use, I won't bow down. That was the code of the Maroon, because here, this is where the first slaves was brought to Louisiana, and before they could be sold, the first thing they had to break them out of is you never look a white person in the face. So it was that you had to break down. But the code of the Maroons was that I would rather die in the bayou than to be anybody's slave. You dig? And I won't bow down. So that have always been that that part of it in my growing up. You know.
So you had that from before you even being active.
Oh,
that was
yes.
that was part of it.
Yes.
Wonderful. So at what stage? Because you spent time inside because of the during the COINTELPRO thing, as my understanding, and you know the FBI were crashing down on all activists, and you got caught up in that. And that meant you spent a period of time incarcerated. How long was that?
I spent just about a year. I spent 4 months on death row. And the rest in the dungeon. You know, so they kept us locked down and isolated from other prisoners. And see, when we had the shootout, we went from the Desire Housing Project where the shootout occurred to court to death row.
Wow.
All in the same day.
The same day?
The same day.
Wow.
Like I woke up in 1970.
So
it was September the 15th. It was a very special day for African Americans because it was the 7th anniversary of the Birmingham bombing.
Of course.
So I truly believe spiritually we had 4 little angels protecting us, because over 150 police shot at us for 20 minutes. All right, they must have fired somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 to 40,000 rounds of ammunition in that house. And we all walked out without a scratch.
Wow. Well, Malik, 1 second, I just thought, is it possible to, because I'm thinking of the music.
Oh, I'm gonna cut it.
Is that okay? Because I'm
let me.
Okay. Anyway, so now you're in prison. You're in jail. At that time, with the amount of activists that are in there, what was the mood like in prison? Because it's not you're not in prison for stealing and petty theft. You're in prison for.
That's the reason. First thing they done, they isolated.
Right. Okay.
All right. They put us on death row.
Sure.
That's how we went from court to death row.
Yeah.
All right, because they didn't want us around other inmates because they figured like we was gonna infect them with our revolutionary cause. So they isolated us.
Yeah.
You dig? It was 6 cells up on death row. You dig? And it was I believe it was 9 of us. Brian was the youngest up there with us. Brian was just 15.
Okay.
You know, I was one of the oldest, and I was 22. You dig? We had 2 other brothers up there, Ike Edwin Edwards. Isaac Edwards, and Brokey, Milton Martin. Those are the only 2 that was older than me. So it went Ike, Brokey, then me as for the older members of the party. You dig? So again, we was just young kids.
Yeah.
And
so we're talking about we're talking about why the Panthers back then were such or seemed to the US state like such a threat, because when you look at how they didn't just we're going to arrest these guys. They were straight out looking to wipe.
Oh yeah, they came in, they got in position, and then they opened fire.
Wow.
Now they knew we had children in our office. They didn't give a damn about the babies. Nobody. They just got in position and they started firing. After 20 minutes, they thought they had killed us all. That's the reason why they stopped. It was 20 minutes of firing automatic weapons in a wooden house. You know, that we had sandbagged one side of it, but only one side. They thought that we had, this was long enough. They had killed us. And so
how come they didn't? How could you know what I mean? I'm sitting there thinking,
I truly believe
how come they didn't?
I truly believe as a spiritual person.
Okay.
You did, because I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual.
Yeah.
I believe we had 4 little angels protecting us because it was the 7th anniversary of the Birmingham bombing. You dig it? There was Birmingham bombing that happened in 1963 in Montgomery, Birmingham, where you was just at. You dig? On that same day. So I truly believe it was because of them. Because of the fact that the night before the shootout, a lady came and put a prayer cloth on the wall and said, if anybody in here pray, ain't nothing gonna happen to y'all. But we thought that they was gonna kill us. You dig? Because we knew that in Louisiana, all the way up until that day, when blacks picked up guns in resistance, they was wiped out.
Sure. Yeah.
So we thought that this was gonna happen to us. So when
what's the and this might, I don't know if you can answer this. As someone that does activism, I go on demos. I'm not really in any kind of risk. Not the kind of risk you're talking about there. Yeah, I might get arrested. I might even get beaten up. I'm not in fear for my life. When this is happening, I'm trying to get an understanding. You're in this house. You're there with your comrades in this house, and they're shooting. You must think, I'm gonna die now. How are you like? Right, I'm ready for this. What's going on in your head?
I was a Vietnam veteran.
Okay.
And I tried to apply for a job as a welder, and I was denied because they didn't hire blacks as welders. The guy lived through the assassination of Dr. King. I didn't want to leave my children with in a society where, because of the color of their skin, they didn't have any value. Like I said, I was raised among Garvinites. So we always had pride in our African heritage. But it wasn't something that exists throughout the high school I went through. Or the elementary school I went through. We was the only ones. It was very few of us. That's one of the things that unite General Rico and I together. We was both raised in a maroon environment, in an environment where we understood our heritage, our greatness, you dig, and what we can accomplish, you dig. So with that, I knew that if it was my time, I would rather go down dying then at 22. You dig, standing up for justice, than to live to be 75 and never done nothing but work for these suckers and never done nothing for the upliftment of my community. I didn't want my heritage to be no different than what my grandmother and my grandfather passed down to me by being galvanized. You dig? So I was willing to take that chance.
Sure.
You dig? And I joined the party when we started the NCCF. I was married with 2 kids. You know, that's why I tell you, they knew we had children, you know, in the office. They didn't know that we had gotten our kids out. You dig? They didn't come to serve no eviction notice. They came to kill us.
Yeah.
And after 20 minutes of open fire upon us, they thought they had, because at first you was able to shoot out with them, but after a while the concentration of fire was so great that you couldn't fire anything because of the fact you had so many bullets coming in at you. You know, you imagine now in the course of maybe a room that's maybe about 50 feet long. You dig? About 150 police with automatic weapons shooting at it.
Jeez, wow.
So they just knew in 20 minutes they had killed us.
So we're talking about we're talking about why the Panthers back then were such or seemed to the state, to the U.S. state, like such a threat, because you know when you look at how, you know, they didn't just, okay, we're going to arrest these guys. They were straight out looking to wipe.
Oh yeah, they came in, they got in position, and then they opened fire.
Wow.
Now they knew we had children in our office. They didn't give a damn about the babies.
What was the mood among the community? Did people realize what you were fighting for and respect that, or was it like, these crazy young kids? What was the take?
Well, people didn't understand nothing about no dialectical materialism.
Sure.
And things like that. But what they did understand is that we was feeding their children. You dig that? We was talking about sickle cell anemia. We was cleaning up their community. We was dealing with the infestations of roaches and rats. You dig? And we was making it safe by letting guys know that, hey man, listen, it's time for us to stop oppressing each other. You dig? Certain things that in the first drug-free zone, we established it. We said that if it's wrong for a person to sell drugs, it should be equally as wrong for a person to have to sell drugs. So again, we never condemned the person because until you give an alternative, you can't push your morality on me. You dig? If you rich, you can have all the morals in the world. You dig? But if you're poor, you dig? You can't tell me I got to have your type of morality. If I did, why are you not doing your moral duty to end poverty in my community? And don't tell me that I'm cursed. Don't tell me that I have to live a half-butchered life. You dig? I deserve the same right that you deserve. My kids deserve the same opportunity that your kids deserve. So these are the things that made us stand up. We didn't stand up for anything. We started a 10-point program, and under that program, we started working to eliminate these problems. We made a lot of mistakes, you dig? But we did a lot of good, you know. I mean, we started a free bus program to the prison. We were about to start a free ambulance service. We had started the first sickle cell anemia awareness program in this state. You know, I mean, we started feeding children. That was unheard of in America until we started feeding children. And on a national level, we was feeding something like about 20,000 children every week. You know, I mean, we was doing this. You dig? I mean, we had legitimate programs that was in, and we was ending crime and violence. if the party was still been in existence today, there's nowhere in the world we would be killing each other in the manner that we are killing each other right now.
Okay. Oh, so from what was clearly, I mean, the things you've described, I can't imagine anyone, especially if they're black or especially if they're living in any kind of poverty, would look at that and say that's a bad thing. So what do you think ended the influence that the Panthers and other activists were having? Because, you know, by the time you're looking at the 80s and 90s, to me it feels like not just in the States but everywhere, black communities had kind of gone backwards. We lost some of that awareness.
First thing you got to remember is that all nations, not just America, before they go out to destroy with anything that they classify as an enemy, first thing they do, they take it through a process of demonization. You know, it was very easy for you to kill a Kraut than a German. You dig? It was easy for you to kill a savage Indian than a Native American. You dig? It was easy for you to kill a black. I mean, for you to kill a nigger instead of a black man. So the first thing they do, they take you through that process of demonizing. So they had demonized us to the degree that that most of us, because you have to remember, in America, even up until this date, it's less than, I would say about maybe 8% of us have enough conscience that we'll get involved in anything. The other 92%, they ain't gonna do nothing. You dig? But that 8% represent enough that we have given an example. I mean, right now, you know, I've been blackballed. You dig? With all the tools I showed you. The reason why they're sitting there, because I can't get no work. Now I'm too old to work. But when I was still couldn't get any work because of the fact that I was one of them, leave him alone. He a troublemaker. You dig? But among the youth, you dig, they look at me as Baba. They look at me in a whole different manner. You dig? Because they're seeing the fact that I had the goal to stand up for justice. You dig? And that's what I'm trying to tell some of these youngsters. I can understand that you lashing out. You dig? But don't lash out in a negative way. Do it in a positive way. You dig? Don't let nobody make you your own worst enemy. You dig? So again, we have to do this. And the only way we could do it is by having that pride within ourselves. You dig? That pride that say that, listen, there's nothing that you could do to me to make me want to take your life. Now, you could do enough to me to make me that I never want to do anything with you, but I will not kill you. You dig? Or especially not to make $1. You dig? And I will not stand and watch you being killed because I'm afraid of losing the ability to make $1. See, then that's where our kids is at now. They can understand the phoniness that's going on around in our community. You can't tell a kid where you got service providers. You dig? They're providing a service, and I'm not downing the service, but they're getting paid for it. You dig? So if I wasn't poor, you wouldn't have that job. You dig? So don't tell me you're going to work your way out of a job, especially out of a good hustle. You dig? So again, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the fact that you ain't doing this out of love. You're doing this because this is your job. This is what you're getting paid for. And that's what the kids is looking at. They're not looking at nobody that really talking about taking an interest in them. That's why right now we'll spend $45,000 to keep a child in a detention center, but only spend $6,000 to keep him educated. So if something is wrong when you're talking about, I'll spend this much money on making sure that you're incarcerated, but I ain't gonna spend nothing but this much money to help you get educated. So we're in that position right now, just the way it have been ever since the end of slavery. Not the end of slavery, but the end of Reconstruction. It have always been the greatest economic drain on our community have been the criminal justice system. You dig? If you want to make a phone call while you're incarcerated, the most expensive phone call that you can make in America is to a prisoner or from a prisoner when he called. I mean, MCI became a Fortune 500 company offer prisoners. Now you got entities where you have private prisons. You dig? Where in Hawaii, if you go to prison in Hawaii, you wind up in Texas. You know? So again, these are the things that exist. You dig? So how can we change it? We cannot change it where we talking about taking bad dogs and put them in an environment that many classify as the most violent environment outside of war, our prisons and jails. I can't take a person and put him in this violent environment and expect him to come out nonviolent, even though he might have went in on a nonviolent offense. But once he is in there, he's going to be tainted by the violence that exists in order for him to survive. And then when you find one that the only reason why he's in jail is because he can't pay the bond to get out. He ain't been convicted of nothing. He been arrested. He's incarcerated, but he ain't convicted of no crime. But we won't allow him to vote, even though he's supposed to have the right to vote. We won't allow him to vote, you dig? And we won't allow him to get out on his own reconnaissance. So if I'm sitting in there, and the only reason why I'm sitting in jail for 2 years is because I could not raise $1,000. You dig? Because that's all. My bond was $10,000. I needed $1,000. I don't have $1,000, and I don't know nobody that would help me raise $1,000. So I sit up in there for 2 years, and at the end of the 2 years, I plead guilty because they told me that if I plead guilty, I get out. You dig? So I'm going to plead guilty. Yeah. But I'm out now with 2 years worth of rage in me. Yeah. So you can't tell me nothing. You dig? An argument between me and anybody can turn into a fist fight, and that fist fight going to turn into a gun because I ain't going to let you hit me. You dig? If you put your hands on me, I'm going to kill you. You dig? It ain't no doubt about it. I'm going to blow your fucking brains out of you. If you touch me, I'm going to kill you. Yeah. You dig? And that's the mentality that exists among these youngsters. You dig? They don't care because of and I'm not talking about those at 18 and over. I'm talking about in high school. It's to the same degree. Well, hey man, listen, if he put his hands on me, I'm going to knock his ass off. And when they and you can look at him and tell if a person is serious or if a person is not serious. Because one thing that you learn in war is how to detect whether a person is truly a warrior. You dig? Or just somebody pretending to be a warrior. Because see, anybody could talk a hell of a story. You dig? But one thing about it that never lies is your action. You dig? And so if you done survived in it, you done been through that, and you done came out untainted. By that I mean you ain't had nobody to turn you out and make you out of a punk or a sissy while you're in jail. Excuse me from using that term, but you done went through that, and you done came out. Now you're out here on the street. You dig? Where you gonna stay at? We don't have no place to house you. You dig? So where you gonna live? You dig? How you gonna make an income? You dig? So the first equal opportunity employer for you is a dope man. You dig? I might not hire you to sell no dope. I just want to give you something to be on call in case I need somebody to do a killing for me. You dig? I'm gonna throw that your way. I'm gonna give you that hustle. Yeah. You dig? You kill him. We just had a comedian that gets shot down and killed, murdered in an upscale neighborhood at a grocery market. I mean, at a supermarket.
Yeah.
You dig? Why was he killed? Because he was riding in a car that was like the person who they were sent to kill. So two guys went to that car and killed him. You dig? Now, again, they got this on their conscience. That they done killed another innocent black man. But if you're a killer, you don't have that kind of conscience. You dig? Because it's easy. Listen, if I could go up against you with a knife, all right, then think of how easy it is for me to stand off from you and just pull a trigger. You dig? And that's what we have. We have all these kids that's caught up into that dilemma of life debt. You dig? They ain't talking about, well, hey, I know if I get into it, and if he go get a gun, he gonna come back, but he ain't gonna shoot it. You dig? They know that if he go get it, he gonna come back. So for one thing, I ain't gonna let you go get it. You dig? You should have had it with you. You dig? And if you didn't have it with you, then I'll tell you what, you'll never get a chance to get the ups on me again. Yeah. You dig? So these are the mentalities that we have. You have a poor person. I got to go to school in some cheap Payless tennis. Everybody laughing at the shoes I have on. But then here you are, a person that you can't beat me. You dig? But you dress. You dig? You got Air Jordans. I'm going to take them. You dig? I'm going to take them from you. You dig? Because of the fact that I've been transformed. And it's real easy because if you're a bad dog, it's real easy to be transformed into a wolf. You dig? And the thing about wolves, they run in packs. You dig? And so don't care how big a prey it is. It could be a buffalo. And a buffalo could have something that could be weighing 1,000, almost 2,000 pounds going against a 100-pound wolf. You dig? And wind up being the prey. Where it seemed like a 200-pound, a 1-ton buffalo should be able to crush a wolf. But he can't crush 10 of them. You dig? And they know eventually he's going to get tired. And they'll run him or stay at him until he wears himself out. And once he do, then they go in for the kill. You dig? And that's what's happening in our communities. You dig? We have individuals that they don't have nothing. Christmas done came. Everybody know that the most violent time of the year is Christmas. Everybody in the community know that. Why? Because don't have nothing. Don't be able to get your kids nothing. And then you stand up there and you laughing and joking with somebody that just brought his kids some toys. You thinking you ain't been able to buy your kids nothing. You dig? It don't take nothing but a spark. And I done went off. You dig? I ain't got that fuck it mentality.
Sure.
You dig? So yeah, I'll break in your car. Fuck you. You dig? You ain't giving me nothing. And that's the mentality that they have. And if you come out there, because I'm broken your car talking shit, I'm going to shoot you. You dig? And I ain't shooting you to wound you. I'm shooting you to kill you. You dig? Because I don't care. When you put a person in a desperate situation, then you cannot expect them to be nothing but desperate. You dig? And that's what we do. We create an environment that's only conducive to the destruction of life, not one that's conducive to the maintaining life. We don't teach civic responsibility. We don't teach, let alone global responsibility. We don't teach this. You dig? So again, where they gonna learn it from? You can't say that they learn it at church, because the average church in America is only open one day out of the week, fully open, and it's only open then for just a few hours. But the crime that exists on our street is a 24/7. So you can't say that, well, I'm in the church, but my church is open 8 hours a week. But I'm dealing with a 24/7 problem. We're going way out. That's why you find up in the average church in America, especially the African American church, it's a bunch of women and old men.
Yeah.
You dig? You be wondering where the youngsters at? Where the young men should be in this church? Where they at? You dig? They gone.
Yeah.
You dig? Why? Because they got to learn how to survive.
So what's the path for us breaking that cycle? What's the path that
by
we
creating the mechanism to break it?
Mm-hmm.
You can't break it with your hand. Sure. You dig? You have to break it with your mind. The first thing I got to do, we got to come together. We got to say that together. If it's 10 of us investing, like you said that your ancestors did when they first got to Britain. Mm-hmm. They pool their little resources together, and every week they help somebody. Mm-hmm. You dig? Here in New Orleans or in Louisiana, we used to have what is called the True Friends. And the True Friends was that if the Klan, you know about the Ku Klux Klan, sure. That if the Klan come after you, I'm going to protect you. You dig? If the Klan come after me, you going to protect me. Mm-hmm. But Thaddeus sitting here said that he ain't wanted to get involved. Mm-hmm. So ain't nobody going to stick their lives out for Thaddeus. Mm-hmm. You dig? Well, you want to run by yourself, you run by yourself. Mm-hmm. So again, what we was doing, it was helping each other. Okay. So, and that's what we got to start doing. Even I don't care how small a scale it is, we got to create that mechanism. And to show you that it works, anytime we come together, there's nothing in this city, only a few entities, I won't say nothing. There's only a few entities in our community that's over 100 years old, with the exception of the church, because the church worked together. It was a collective. After the World War I, black soldiers that came back was treated like they all had the Spanish flu. If you read the history of what they call the Red Summer, and during the Red Summer of 1919, black soldiers was literally beaten and killed just for being black GIs coming from a war. You dig? When the flu epidemic hit in America and the way that it did, you dig? They blame that on us. You dig? And then under the Spanish flu, we wouldn't have been able to survive it because we had the worst racist president that happened, Woodrow Wilson. You dig? Who was a straight racist. You dig? But what we was blessed with is the Honorable Marcus Garvey. You dig? And this sister, Henrietta Davis, who started the Black Nursing Corps, that taught us how to survive. And they taught it through the church, because our churches started establishing soup kitchens, where we start feeding people soup, start teaching them, teaching young girls how to be women, how to really take care of their body, and the things that we have to do. So we have to get back to those same old ideas, that grassroots, not only just organizing, but that grassroots mechanism that's based upon the upliftment of us as a people.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess what I'm looking to do now is to bring this into you've got the Global Solidarity Network. That's the thing that Rico runs. What talk to me about the things that you are doing now, the things that you are involved in now. What if someone in Britain's
I can't tell you what we're doing. I'm telling you what is our intentions. Yeah. Our intentions is to work with any, first of all, African American, because we are here. Because, see, I can't tell you, and if you would believe this, you would be a damn fool, that I'm more concerned about what's going on in England than what's going on in New Orleans. So the first thing I got to do, I got to start talking about what can I do to address the social ills here. Now, what we can do is network with you over in England, with those brothers in Africa that's willing to do the same thing, that we can come together. We can establish that network, because now it's simple if you have that knowledge. I don't have it. You dig? And that is the knowledge the cover through that internet. You dig? But see, nobody's in control of this. You dig? It's not the idea that this government or that government have total control of the internet. You dig? And so we have that ability that we can start networking. We can start doing those phone chats or those visual chats or whatever that we could find out. Man, listen, Maurice, what you doing over in England? You dig? And then as I got you on TV, you dig? I could show you what I'm doing here. You dig? And then we could start feeling like, well, you know what? I'm not alone. You dig? I'm not alone. Yeah, we could help you. Yeah. We could help you with that same mechanism that one day is going to get around to your turn to receive the funding that is needed. Not maybe to get up for upliftment, for you to start something. Yeah. You dig? We could work with you on it. Listen, right now in New Orleans, we sit in a city that's comprised of not even 300,000 blacks. You dig? But we have 3 colleges, 3 black colleges here. If each college would take 100,000 people to help, you dig? We have enough colleges. Yeah. But they don't do nothing in our community.
So how? I mean, that's interesting, because I think over in the UK it's slightly different. We don't have those. We don't have really the black infrastructure organisations you're talking about. This is because you have a longer history that you've been able to build up. But how do you then keep those? And when these things do appear in the UK, I feel like they take the Queen's dollar. So they go, okay, right, we are now such and such black organisation, but they're not really then connected anymore to the community. We don't feel like. How do you keep those? I brought you
over to a friend of mine. Yeah. I've been knowing him since we went to kindergarten together.
Wow.
All right. We both 75 years old, and I've been knowing him 70 years.
Yeah.
Now, when we went over there, it was his niece his granddaughter that was taking care of him. Now, here's a 70-year-old man that's in no position to take care of himself. His granddaughter had to clean him. Then I brought you over from there to the health clinic. And it wasn't open. This wasn't no holiday. It wasn't Friday, wasn't no holiday. I believe it was Friday or Thursday. It wasn't no holiday, and it was closed. That's a multi-million-dollar building. You dig? That had 2 building engineers in it. 2 building engineers. Everything is in there except people. But it was supposed to be a multi-service center. All right? So, again, we are not providing the service. But we'll get listen, man, I'm beating the system. No, you ain't beating the system. You're beating your community. You did? Because you ain't trying to provide no service for nobody. And at the health clinic, they have a doctor on staff. You think he ain't doing nothing? You had 2 registered nurses there. They ain't doing nothing because nobody is there. You think and a security guard plus nurse's aide and a secretary. You think? And it had everything except for the clientele. Now, you can't tell me that the clientele don't exist, because I just brought you by one that was in desperate need. You dig? But what that shows everybody else, that the only reason why he's like this is because he's poor.
Yeah.
You dig it? So I ain't going to be poor. You dig? I'd rather take it from you, you dig, before I'll be caught in that kind of position. You dig? As for public housing, we have a thing that if you commit a crime and you're on a lease of a person in public housing, they get kicked out.
Oh wow! So if your 14-year-old does a crime,
get into a crime, and it ain't got to be at the development.
Sure.
It could be anywhere in the city. That's grounds for them to put you out. You dig? And that's what they've been doing. That's the reason why it has turned to the degree of it. And the sad part about it, it be us enforcing it. It don't be no white person putting us out. It be another black person. So what that make that kid believe? You can't tell him that brotherhood shit. You dig? Because if I'm your brother, why you put my mom out? I'm gonna rob you. I'm gonna knock your ass off. You dig? I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna take what you got, or I'm gonna take your life. And as long as we have that mentality, and it's one that's simple to break, because you break it by easing the tension that's on a person. That is, listen, if we would take 1,000 people and give them $1,000 a month, that's $1 million. 12 months, that's 12 million. All right? It might sound like a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money.
But listen, we just gave a police chief that's 50 years old a retirement of $12,000 a month for the rest of his life. So if he live another 50 years, he know that the city of New Orleans gonna be sending him a check every month for $12,000. You dig? So again, we have to look at where our priorities at. You dig? And you can't tell me that our priorities is in the right place. Right now, our city have become, especially Algiers, has been plagued with by the movie industry. You'd think that would be a good thing, but there's more negative from these movies than positive. And every actor that came here and made money off a movie out of this community should be, I ain't gonna say condemned, but he should be held accountable. Well, what since you made this movie, what did y'all give back to the community? Did y'all give anything back? You did? No.
But
So,
even more than, and I'm not contradicting you, but even more than, I don't know, whatever actor who might have come and been in a film, is the fact that the movie company is right there. You've shown me
it's not
studios.
but it's not the movie companies.
Okay.
I'm talking about the actors. Some of them that get up on TV and talk about how progressive they are. But they'll come here and we don't see them. They don't come in our community. Listen, we seeing them making movies, and I'm not talking about white actors.
Sure.
I'm talking about blacks.
Yeah.
They'll pass by a black high school to get to that location where they're filming. You dig? They'll film, and then they got to pass by that same black high school to get back to wherever hotel that they're in. And they'll never stop at that school.
Yeah.
They'll never say, well, hey, well, you know what? We're going to go over and give some type of positive inspiration to these kids.
Just that.
You
Just
dig? It
cost,
ain't nothing.
Yeah, just
It
your
ain't
presence.
nothing.
Yeah.
And you dig? But what it do, it done pushed up the rent. Where now, just being a working class black, you can't afford to stay in a community that you was born in. You dig? Where if you making $30,000 a year, you dig? That's all you making. Now you got a family that you got to take care of. But now almost half of that is going on rent. Rent and utilities. You dig? So what you have left? That's what happened during Katrina. During Katrina, when it hit us, what turned Katrina from a disaster into a tragedy is because it happened the worst time of the year to be poor in New Orleans. You dig? By that I mean it happened in August, right after school opened. So people that was poor, that didn't have that much, they had got rid of everything to buy their kids school supplies. So they was only waiting until the first of the month. But Katrina hit on the 29th. You dig? So again, when they asked, well, they was looting and stealing something. They was stealing anything that they of value. Why? Because they was broke. They didn't have nothing. And nobody was giving them anything. They didn't get that first check. You dig? That first check got caught up in the mail. You dig? So now they don't have nothing but they still got to feed them kids because the kids are still hungry. You still got to find a place to put a roof over their head. You dig? To put clothing on them because they done lost everything in the flood. You dig? So what else they gonna do but take it? You dig? Because of the fact that the testimony on how much we care is look at all the refrigerators that we had to throw away because of the food that we left in them. We allow it to spoil before we would use it to feed anybody. Look at all the cars that we had. My second and third car. You dig that before I loan it to you, you dig I'll let it sit out here and be flooded. You dig, and we neighbors. You dig that? It's the reality. You dig? When you start seeing that, that's the reason why you have these kids that's coming up now that's so full of rage. You dig? 'Cause we ain't did nothing for them. We didn't send no trauma counselors to help them. You dig? Churches didn't reach out to help other churches. Still got abandoned churches in the Ninth Ward. And this 17 years after Katrina, still have abandoned churches, black churches. But we have a city full of black churches that could have came out and helped them to rebuild. But we don't reach out to help each other. So what these kids saying, you dig, what they thinking? That is every man for themselves. You dig? Don't tell me there was a ghetto writer. Most people that have been to prison done read, most blacks. You dig? That's one of the first things that they read. And that's Donald Goins. All right, he have a collection of books. And one of his books is called Wholesome. And it started off with this poem. The jungle creed that the strong must feed on any prey at hand. I was banded a beast when I sat at the feast before I became a man. You dig? So with most of us, when we learn what we are doing, we have been caught up. You dig? Because we got into that wolf mentality. You dig? And with this, that's the reason why we do the things we do. So you let 8 them youngsters out there breaking in cars. You dig? And then as they're breaking in cars, you dig? They're breaking in them not just for the joy of breaking a window. They're looking for contents of what's in that car, especially if they figure that it might be a gun in there. Because I know if you go into a Saints game, you ain't bringing that gun in the stadium. You dig? So that gun is left in your car. So I'm going to break in that sucker to get that gun. You dig? Or either some of the other valuables that you might leave in your car. And it's a group of us. You dig? Now, we all might not have a gun, but we all might have a knife. But you go against 10 people with knives, see what's going to happen. So again, this is what they do. And then they turn us to the degree the person who car is broken in because of the fact that now they got to pay for it to get it fixed. Well, now they hating on a person that broke their window and stuff, so they're willing to kill them for less than $500. That's taking a life for nothing. You dig? So we're in a degree. And the only solution that our politicians are saying is more police.
You were saying to me that for the state, 60% of the state spending is on police. Is that right?
Right now, 60% of this city's budget
goes
to law enforcement.
Wow. I mean, anyone looking at that can't see that that's a sustainable situation. Anyone, no matter how poor, rich.
That show you how foolish we have been. And this is not something that just happened. It's been happening. But less than 3% of our budget go to set up alternative programs in our community. So you can't tell me you care about our community when you putting all the money in law enforcement or in the criminal justice system. And that's what people are looking at. You dig? At the fact that, hey, the criminal justice system is not built to be conducive to me as a person of color. You dig? No, you doing this here for to maintain a social structure that is not conducive for me. You dig? It's only conducive for the whites in this community. You dig? So it don't do anything but just perpetuate that racism. You dig? It makes the whites in the city feel like, well, these ain't nothing but young criminals. Right? Because we just had 4 teenagers played hooker from school, stole a car, later came out and tried to stop them from taking the car. And some kind of way our arm got tied up in the car and it yanked our arm off. You dig? So she bled to death. So but what it did to all the white community, it made them believe, well, you know, hey man, I better have a gun. Because the only thing that's going to stop these young blacks is that's if we start killing them. You dig? So again, we have this, but we ain't got no money to talk about reforming them. But we are willing to make over $1 million to keep them incarcerated for the rest of their life. So if you got a penitentiary that like Angola, where almost 90% of the inmates gonna die there. All right, because they're either doing life or practical life. You think I'm talking about? You got inmates that, you know, I don't have a life sentence, but I got 300 years. You dig? So I'm gonna die here, but they're willing to spend $1 million to keep me there, and won't help me with a dime on the street to stay on the street.
So is there any, I don't know, political, but is there anyone making what seem like really obvious arguments? Why isn't there a groundswell of people going, you know what, none of this works, let's back that person, that party, does this exist? Is there someone out there making these arguments?
I'm making it.
Sure, but you run and stop, but you know, who
see, but I just said, I can't worry about what the other person is doing.
Sure, yeah.
I got to do what I'm supposed to do without worrying about it. You ever seen a picture of a person chipping away at a mountain? Huh? And he's just chipping. But he's chipping to try to take down that mountain. If he look up at that mountain, you dig he'll stop chipping.
Sure. Yeah.
But as long as he keep to that task, you dig eventually he gonna chip away. Eventually somebody gonna hear. Somebody gonna have a receptive ear to what I'm doing right now, this interview.
Yeah.
You dig? So this is what it's gonna take. It's gonna take us to say to another person that, hey man, I understand what you're going through. You dig? Now this is what I'm gonna do to make sure that you will be able to that you don't have to go to that lifestyle. You dig? I know about this. I've seen this. I've seen listen, I'm 75 years old. I'm seeing every game that could be played out here. And I could tell you what is the only way you're going to be successful is to me. And I can't speak this to everybody else. And that is have faith in the Most High, have confidence in yourself, and be willing to make a sacrifice. You dig? You got to do this. You dig? Success don't come without a sacrifice. You dig? And success don't, just because you're successful don't mean you have the morality. You dig? Morality come from spirituality. You dig? So if you ain't have that spiritual foundation, I don't care how much money you have. You dig? You just gonna be another nigger with money. You dig? It ain't gonna stop you from being a nigger. It's just that now you're a rich nigga. You dig? And what do? They spend money on foolishness. You dig? You see them, and the first thing you see them, they got all this jewelry on them. You dig? And they feel like that's what make them. They go spend money on all these white things. I'm gonna live as rich as the richest European. You dig? I ain't worried about my community because we have the wealth. You dig? We have the earning power in America, just African American, of over $1 trillion a year. Not a million, not a billion, but a trillion. We have over $1 trillion. And you know how much of that stay in our community? Not even 5%. The rest of it, as fast as we get it, we spend it. You know, man, first of all, I might say, man, I need a car. I need transportation. But now I got transportation. This transportation ain't good enough. I need to have a better car. I need a Cadillac. Then once I get the Cadillac, I don't need a Cadillac. I need a Rolls Royce. I don't need a house. I need a mansion. You dig? I don't want no one diamond ring. I want diamonds. I don't care how bloody these diamonds is. You know, I just want these diamonds. I want this gold chain. You dig? I want to sit around like Mr. T with 1,000 tons of gold chains around my neck. You dig? That's what I want. You dig? That's what I'm doing with my money. I'm giving lavish parties. You dig? With people that don't give a fuck about me, but they come in because the party is going on and it's free. You dig? So they'll come to that party instead of talking about helping in the community. The largest African American event held in America is held in this city. And that is the Essence Festival. And it has and listen, for that festival, we may have 300,000 well-educated African American in the city. And it have zero impact on our community. You dig? We don't stay with each other.
Sure.
You dig? Most of us come here and we don't leave the French Quarters.
Right.
We go from the French Quarters to the Convention Center to the Superdome. And don't see nothing else of our communities. Yeah. We don't get out in our community and talk about, well, hey man, how can we invest in this? How can we make sure that this become the kind of community that I would want to live in, that I would want my children to live in? Listen, we have the oldest African-American school west of the Mississippi that's closed down. McDonald 32. It's closed down. But Berman, that's named after a white racist, we just finished spending almost $140 million to renovate that school. And almost 90% of the students at Berman is African-American. You think so? We got to change that mentality. We had a school that was named Walker, Old Perry Walker, and Old Perry Walker was the superintendent of the school board, trying to keep the schools segregated, not integrated, but segregated. But we have some blacks that was so, man, I'm proud to be a Walker. You dig? I'm proud to be went to Walker. You dig? Not knowing how foolish they are. If you come here and see how we degrade ourselves for Mardi Gras, the Zulu, the biggest social club in the city of New Orleans, we paint our face black and put white lips on us, and we parade up and down the street on Mardi Gras Day. You dig? Acting a fool, and that's making mockery of one of the most noble African tribes in existence. You dig? But we don't care. Well. That's why you can't tell none of these youngsters anything about our history. You dig? Because they don't care about it.
But how do we make that link though? So because what I don't think any of us are about is the separation and whatever. But if you've got a bunch of wealthy black people who are willing to, you know, one, they probably don't want to come to this area because they're gonna get rolled today. How do we make that link without sort of calling them out and making them want to connect?
You got to call them out, because other than that, they ain't gonna do nothing.
Okay.
They ain't gonna do
them out,
shit.
Doesn't that make them go, yeah?
I don't care. Well, they ain't doing nothing anyway.
So you're not losing. Yeah.
You dig? So you have to call them out.
Okay.
You have to call them out. You dig? You have to let them know. Because see, most of them, if you look at the story, listen to the Bible and read the story of Christ, where one guy said that he wanted to be a disciple of Christ, and and he was telling about the things he would have to do, and he said, "Yeah, I'm doing all the duties of my religion." And Jesus telling him, "Well, sell what you got and give it to the poor." And he turned around and walked away because he wasn't going to give up them riches. And that's the same thing about us. We ain't, listen, we don't have to, it's not the idea anymore that we need the government to give us anything. We have enough among ourselves. Again, I'm talking about $1 trillion among 50 million people.
Yeah.
$1 trillion. You dig?
Yeah.
So what do you need? You dig? The only thing you need is the willingness. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan once said that when we was talking about reparation, he said if they give us reparation, give us the money in the morning, they'll have it all back by that evening. Because the first thing we'll get out here and start doing buying Cadillacs and big houses and jewelry. You dig? And next thing you know, that's all our money going right back to them. You dig? So again, we have to learn how to do for self. We have to learn how to say, well, man, listen, I ain't worrying about the 92%. First, I'm going to organize that 8%. You dig? Let that 8% become organized where we could take care of each other. You dig? Let's set a goal that out of that trillion, we're gonna make sure that 5% of that trillion is stay in our community. And what are we talking about? Right now, the only money that actually turn over more than once in our community is drug money. You dig? But now we have to change that. We have to look at the fact that we can't just be supporting the barbershops. You dig? Where's our black banks? Our lending institution? How can we get these colleges to get involved in our community? If, like I said, we have 3 black colleges here. Each one of them have a business component. So why we can't have them coming into community to teach us how to organize businesses? You dig? With half of them, 2 of them, we provide the first steps for becoming doctors, pharmacists, and nurses. So why can't we come together and form some type of institution here to talk about our health care? I did it. And I'm not a doctor. I could barely, my concentration is so to the degree, I could barely read. You dig? Because of the fact that now I had a stroke. You dig? I can't concentrate on reading. You dig? But it didn't stop me from organizing 4 health clinics. You dig? So we can do it. And then all those health clinics that I organized was free.
Yeah. Well, then
so we could establish it.
Because straight away when you start doing that, you're becoming a threat because you are.
There you go.
You know, who's gonna have, if you think actually there's this that I'm gonna put money into rather than health insurance, I'm gonna go that direction, then you're a threat again.
So again, we could develop it.
Yeah.
But we got to start taking care of ourselves. Because the only part of our community where you'll never see a person doing extremely bad is the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Now they talk about Minister Farrakhan and all this, but you never seen a person in the nation that was out there begging or robbing. And you see those young black men that's a part of the nation, they dignified. They have on suits. You dig? They're respectful to the African American woman. You dig? And they've been able to stand up against the whole onslaught of white racism.
Yeah.
So again, we have examples. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad set that example because he learned it from the Honorable Marcus Garvey, because he was a Garveyite. So again, that's all we have to do is go back into our history and take the different components that befit with what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
You dig? And start doing it, start applying it. You dig? Most of us gonna spend enough money Friday night, and don't talk about what we just spent on New Year's or Christmas. You dig? But we're gonna spend this kind of money on Friday night. Now for Friday night, I can't go out with the same outfit on. So that means I got to go buy me a new outfit because I want to go out on Friday night. So I go and I spend money on buying an outfit that I don't need. It's only wants. I ain't dealing with my needs no more. I'm dealing with wants. You dig? Yeah. And I got to have so much money that I'm going to spend. You dig? Because I want to be a VIP and where I'm going. You dig? I don't want to just be in the club. I want to get in on the VIP status. Yeah. You dig? So that's going to make me big. You dig? But then we get caught up. You dig?
So, I'm conscious how much time I'm taking up, so I'll try and wrap it up. So I know that you're involved in environmentalism now, and a lot of what you're saying, that whole waste mentality. My take is that we either ain't going to survive as a species, humanity I'm talking, we're either not going to survive or we're going to work out a way not to consume in the way that we're consuming, and that means not buying nonsense, and one of those two things has to happen. Is this why, from what you were saying before, it feels like the environmental battle is that's the future, that's the big battle that we need to do.
Listen, now. With all that I've told you about, it wouldn't mean nothing if we had all the rights that we're being denied. It wouldn't mean a thing if we can't breathe this air or drink some clean water.
Sure.
So what we have to do is understand what we have at risk. Right now, I have you by at least, I have children your age. All right? I have grandchildren his age. What the world gonna look at like when each one of y'all get to be my age, if we don't do something right now? How much pollution gonna be in our rivers? How much plastic gonna be in our ocean? What we gonna do with all the weapons of mass destruction that we have right now that's gonna be antiquated by the time you reach my age? What you gonna do with them? And then how in America, even if we don't borrow no more money, how you gonna pay the $30 trillion that we in debt? That's gonna be coming due in 20 years. You dig? How you gonna pay this debt? You dig? I mean, you have to do what? You're gonna have to cut programs. You dig? Because that's what's happened. That's how the World Bank been able to bankrupt Africa. You dig? They can't do for their people because they got to pay their debts. You dig? Same thing about Haiti. You dig? People had to pay reparation to the French for freeing themselves.
And he just stopped paying.
Yeah. But look what they took Haiti from becoming one of the richest places on this planet to one of the poorest. You dig? So again, is that what's going to happen to us? You dig? So again, it behooves us to understand the plight that we're in. Because like I told you, we the canaries in this coal mine. We are the canaries. You think so? We have to come out as, if you want to find an African American community, that's all you have to do is look for a polluter. By that I mean a chemical company or a refinery. It's always in our community. Everything that is negative, that's not conducive to the continuation of life, is in our community. So then we wonder why we are dropping off to where we are. You dig? Why right now the lifespan of an African American male in this city is 15 years less than a white. You dig? And it's steady dropping. Now theirs is steady increasing, but ours is dropping. You dig? So you look at what we are doing. You dig? By the time that we come to the realization that the lifestyle I was living was a negative lifestyle, I'm too sick to do anything about it.
Sure. Yeah.
You dig? So now I'm dying off. You dig? So you find like when we went over to visit my friend, we're in that kind of position. You dig? He have all the knowledge in the world, but can't even sit up. You dig? And that's not the exception to the norm. That has become the norm. To see black men, if they reach 70, how many of them is in piss poor health? You dig? How many of them got money and can't enjoy it? You dig? How many of them have worked all their lives and bought this house and got everything that they want except for health? You dig? How many of them is in a position they got everything that they want, but they can't take care of their children because their children is dying on the street or becoming addicted to some kind of fad and drugs. You dig? But see, sooner or later, the party gonna end. Right now, in America, we all are drunk on prosperity. You dig? But if the rest of the world want to live like us, we need 5 more planets. That's why you find so many people willing to risk life and limb to come here. They ain't coming here because of the fact of the poverty. They coming here because this is the land of opportunities. And when they come, who they gonna compete with for employment? First, us. You dig? And they're taking our jobs. At one time in New Orleans, blacks controlled the construction trade. Now it's Latinos. If you go on any construction job, you're going to find Latinos in it. More of them than us. And we was in control of it, but we wouldn't teach our kids because we didn't want them to compete with us, so we didn't treat them. And then we started hiring Latinos to do the work. But now we're no longer hiring them. They're in a position now where they're hiring us because they're coming in and learning how to pull their money together to buy one piece of property and building 2 and 3 units on that property and then helping another one build. And they are steady building where we are still in the position that we are in of just partying.
Wow.
Have the ability to end the crisis that our community is in within 5 years. That's all it would take is 5 years. And and it don't take all of us. If that 8%, just that little 8% would come together, we could create the model that others can look at and start saying that this is the model we're going to duplicate. We see what they have done for them. So we're going to take this and use it for a way for not only economic, but social economic upliftment. Because we got to have that social part of it. We can't just make money. You dig? We got to be able to talking about the morality of it. You dig? We can't be like the Nazis was in Germany. And the Nazis was great for the German people. And they didn't care about nobody else. And it failed. So again, we got to be able to look at how we succeeded and how we have failed. And I'm going to tell you, as long as we keep our morality, as long as we understand that I don't care what you say, you can't have morality in this country or in no country and be poor without a spirituality. And the worst thing that could ever exist is to see a person with richness, but no spirituality, no morality. That they have all this wealth that they just squandering it away. You dig? And so again, we got to set the example. We got to start once again supporting black artists that is talking about doing something positive. You dig? If they're not talking about anything positive, then you shouldn't support them. You dig? There's no reason for me to support you simply because I like your song. You dig that? So I'm gonna go and spend an outrageous amount of money to go hear you sing and make you richer than you already are. And I got to go back into the ghetto. We got to stop this. We got to stop wearing $200 and $300 tennis walking around the project. Because that only make you look stupid. You dig that? You driving a brand new car, but you living in the project. You dig? How that look? You dig? You got on a $1,000 suit, but you're living in the project. You dig? So again, we have to develop that mechanism of saying that, hey, we're gonna come together. Listen, it don't take no more than 100 blacks that's willing to put up $1,000. You dig? $1,000 a month. 100 blacks invest in it. That's $100,000 a month. Every month they could buy a house. Every month they could create the position where they could say that we're gonna employ out of this 100,000, we're gonna employ at least 10 blacks. You dig? That's just with 100. So then when you get to 1,000, you're employing what? Look how many blacks you're employing. Not 10, but 100. You dig? And when you get to 10,000, then look how many blacks you're employing. You dig? And so we have the ability. We have the wealth. Listen, when I was coming up in this city, in this community, only maybe 15% of us had cars. But we had 3 filling stations. Now, over 90% of us have a car. And we own none. Not one filling station. You dig? You could say brothers, but brothers ain't us. You dig? So we don't own it. So again, we have to start talking about it. We don't even have a black supermarket. Everybody got to eat. Everybody. I just met you. You think about, I know one thing, you got to eat. But we don't own not one supermarket to feed ourselves. We don't own no type of factories to clothe ourselves. We are not building the houses. Where at one time, our churches was built by blacks. You dig? If you seen a black church here, I don't care how good it looked at, blacks built it. Now you go to a job in our community, in our churches, and others is doing the work. We just had a new roof put up on the church I belongs to, and not one black was working there. And we have blacks in our church that is unemployed. You dig? So again, we have to change that. You dig? And we have to hold those accountable. You dig? We got to embarrass them, if need be, to either help or get the fuck out the way. You dig? It's just as simple as if you don't want to do nothing, then stand on the side. You dig? We ain't got time to be talking about educating you. You dig? Because the time I'm spending educating you, I'm losing precious time from doing the work. So just stay out our way. You dig? And if you stay out our way, we'll be able to do it. And listen, I've proven that maybe my house is not as completed and everything that it should be, but it's mine. You dig? I don't owe nobody anything. You dig? So again, we are able to survive. You dig? We're able to make it on our own. And I've never been out to the degree that I've been asking anybody to give me anything. You dig? So again, that's all we have to do is just have that will. And with that will, we become unstoppable. We are the first. We gave away our blessing as being the firstborn. So we gave it to the Europeans. They didn't take it. We gave it to them. So that's the reason why they have all the wealth that we at one time had. You dig? So again, only way we're going to get it back, you dig, if we start doing something for self. Not all of us need to be in Africa, but wherever we are, Africa's supposed to be in us. Yeah. We need to understand the importance. And I'm not talking about being so black that you're against whites, or you're against Asians, or you're against, because hatred is a cancer. You dig? And eventually it eats up the person that is in. You dig? I might start off saying I hate whites. Then next thing you know, I'm hating the Asians. Then next thing you know, there's nothing but me, but I'm hating him because he a Christian and he's a Muslim. You dig? He's educated, I'm uneducated. You dig? So the first thing we got to do is eliminate that. And like I told you, in my 75 years, I've only found one way of dealing with that type of mentality, and that's by developing a moral foundation. And a morality is based upon the belief in God. You dig? So we got to be talking about believing in God. Now, I ain't talking about condemning anyone, because I'm a firm believer is I don't judge no one, because I don't want to be judged. You dig? Yeah. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about your sexuality. I ain't going through all that, because ain't nothing you could tell me about mine. You dig? So I ain't gonna equate that I'm so special that you got to believe in what I believe. And it's whatever float your boat. You dig? But just try to have it to float in a justice way, in a just way. Understand that right now we're in a crisis, that because this is the first time we hadn't had the ability in known history this is the very first time we had the ability to destroy life as we know it. I ain't talking about no civilization. We always had the ability to destroy civilizations. You dig? But now we have the ability to destroy life as we know it on this planet. And the only way we're going to be able to save it, that's if we finally come together, find that common ground that we can work under. And I truly believe that we're going to be the cornerstone, and that's salvation. Nice. So I end it with that.
Malik, that's wonderful. Thank you.